Hello, and welcome to the Measure Up podcast. My name is Andrew Voyer, and I said that weird, but my name is Andrew Voyer, and this is how I see the world, and so this is how I'm going to record it. Anyway, Measure Up podcast. This is going to be an all-music podcast right today because of the awesomeness that goes around in music. I'm really big into music, and I've just started to get back into it. Thank you, Tony. You know who you are. So this week we're gonna we're just trying new stuff out here this year. I mean, last year was kind of a mixed bag. This is the second year of the Measure Up podcast. We're still going to be focused on the comics. Like, we're going to see 2v2 next week, and just can't wait for that. That's going to be awesome. But this week it was a lot about music. I did a lot of comic book stuff too, and I've been reading a lot of Doctor Who stuff. So it's gonna take like a different tone, and baseball's coming up on Thursday. Gonna be watching my first game, Red Sox play at 3:00, Twins at 2. Gonna be at Buffalo Wild Wings in Oakdale if you want to come on out and hang out. Me and my buddy Gary will be taking in some ball game. Anyway, so we're gonna start off with the Measure Up 40, which is the 40 top songs. This is how I usually do it, is I have a list of songs that go into the top 40 of the overall hot top 100. Then I do alternative, then I do rock, and then I do hard or heavy, or it's called mainstream rock, but it's pretty much hard rock. So I put them in a folder on my Google, and I it's called Corey's Choice. I just called it that because it was already a folder I had. Anyway, I listen to that on not repeat, but like shuffle. So when I come back and I shuffle it, so the songs get played around and around and around. So some of the songs can get played more than others, so it's kind of by chance. Then I also listen to new music on Fridays, and then Thursdays are always 70s Thursdays, so those don't really count towards the thing. And then Wednesdays are 80s afternoon Wednesdays. It's just something cool at work that we do to like not pass the time, but we just do it because it's fun. And my buddy, my work buddy, Blackwell, comes over and tries to guess the song, but he's really good. He knows the 70s and 80s songs. So I take that and I go into Last FM and I take the top 40 songs that are relatively new. I mean, I'm not doing anything that's 2017, late 2017 and till now. And some of this stuff's been on the charts for a while, so because it always ends up being. And then I also do have a chart called 2018. It's all the songs that were in Corey's Choice that have hit 10 plays. So they go into that, and then I play that once a week. So it's kind of like the top 35 songs right now so far in 2018. And then when they hit 50, they get off of that. So you don't get an extra play a week. But in the top there, that will. In the past, I used to take all the charts and play them, but I'm getting tired of that. And then I also have been taking the alternative and the pop top 40 songs from from Slacker Radio, and I listen to the top 40 countdown for both of those. I think it's pretty interesting, and so those songs get a play. So in Last FM, I go in there and the top 40 songs that I listened to during the week, my weekend review, which is the thing they have on there. So then I come up with the top 40, and it goes on to the Measure Up top 40, and that's how we come here. So some of these songs are pop songs, some of these songs are hard rock, some of these songs are going to be alternative or rock or whatever. And occasionally there'll be a country song because sometimes those like morph over into the different charts. And I don't know how they get on here, but I play them and they must be played enough to get on here. And there's songs I like, so if I play Corey's Choice and a song comes on and it's absolutely awful, I'm going to delete it off there because I don't want it on there. But when the new charts come out every Tuesday, I add all the new songs, like songs that are new on there, except for raps. If there's songs I know I won't like if Chris Brown, I won't listen to anything by Chris Brown because he beat the heck out of Rihanna, and I don't have any patience for people who do stuff like that. So, I mean, there's probably been other bands where that's happened, but I don't know of it. And if you know of it, let me know because I will no longer support that band because that's wrong. Just wrong. And I have my co-host here with me, Oak the Cat. He's sitting by my side just chilling like he always does. But anyway, let's get into the top 40 songs for, this is up to March 15th, even though I know it's like in the week after. I haven't had a chance to put the 22nd onto the chart thing here. And you could always go to crownnote.com/charts/superuncle A, and then you'll get my my top 40 on there as well. And it's cool because it does like a really cool thing. This crown note thing is you can make your own top 40, and then it shows it like you would when you go to Billboard Top 100. It does like the highest spot it's been, and then it does how many weeks on the chart and all that stuff. So it's kind of cool. And then at the end of the year, it has a leadership board where it gives each of your top 40 entrances a point system. And then at the end of the year, it'll tell you your top 40 songs you've listened to all year. Well, it'll tell you however many songs you had on the chart. So if you had 500 songs across the whole year, then it'll tell you your top 500. But I only do 40, and so there's going to be songs in and out. So they'll get points as we go along here, and then I'll go over the top 40 at the end of the year, and so you guys will know the top 40 songs that I've listened to all year long by a chart process. And that's it for that. I hope you're interested in it because this is going to be pretty awesome, I think. So here we go with the chart ending 3/15/18. Number 40 is From Ashes to New with their song Broken. That's a new song on the chart. Then we have Under Oath with On My Teeth. That's off their new album. That's number 39. That's new on the charts. Then we have at number 38, down 28 spots, is James Bay with Wild Love. I'm getting kind of into that song. Then we have a song that I've been digging a lot, Charlotte Lawrence, Just the Same, at number 37. That also dropped 28 spots out of the top 10. So then at number 36, we have a re-entry, and this is Say Something by Justin Timberlake and Chris Stapleton. I don't know if I'd like the song if it didn't have Chris Stapleton in it. I like his voice. And so then we have, at 35 is a new song, Heaven by Julia Michaels. That's it. Then we have a new song, The Middle by Zed, Maren Morris, and Gray. That's a cool song. Then we have a pretty cool story here, Zombie by Bad Wolves, and new at number 33. But the cool thing about that song is, I guess on the day that, I can't ever remember her name, but the lady from the Cranberries, she was traveling to London to record the vocals for this song because Bad Zombies had done not an acoustic but like an instrumental version of it, and she liked it so much that she was going to do vocals over it, and so that there would be a new version of Zombie out. But she passed away on the day that she was supposed to do that. So with the blessing of her family, the lead singer of Bad Wolves sang over it, and it's really and the video is it just kills you because it takes the Zombie music video and it morphs it in with the Bad Wolves version of it. It's really cool. You got to see it to really get into it. It's amazing. Then at number 32 is a cool new song. It's Ignore Me by Betty Who. That's a re-entry. And then at number 31 we have Bones by Dead City Ruins. I love that song. Number 30 is Somebody Special by Nina Nesbitt. Then we have a number 29. It's America KKK by Ministry. Glad to see those guys are back. Then at number 28 we have All the Stars by Kendrick Lamar and SZA from Black Panther the album. I don't know. I went through the whole album, and I have no tolerance for the N-word. So usually if I hear the N-word on any song, I'll downvote it right away. So I listened to the whole entire Black Panther soundtrack because, me and Black Panther. And over half the album had the N-word in at least one song. So it kind of hurts. But the songs that did stand out, didn't have the N-word in them, were really good. Like All the Stars. That's the song that's played over the finishing credits, the ending credits of the movie. And I'm really getting into that song. This new gal, SZA, I think it's SZA. She is really, really good. She's blowing up on the scene, so hopefully we'll see more of her. Then from Anne Marie is a new song, Then. I really love her. She's another gal who has a great voice. Then at number 26, we have a re-entry, River by Eminem and Ed Sheeran. At number 25 is another re-entry, Wolves by Selena Gomez and Marshmello. Then up 16 spots at number 24 is Let Me Go by Haley Steinfeld, Alesso, featuring Florida Georgia Line and Watt. Then down 16 spots we have Wait by Maroon 5. I'm really liking that song too. Then we have Hollywood Undead at number 22, their new song Renegade. That's a new entry. Then we have a re-entry at number 21. It's going to be Khalid with Young, Dumb, and Broke. Then up 18 spots at number 20 is Imagine Dragons with Whatever It Takes. Then at number 19 is a new song, Foo Fighters, Run. At number 18, we have Perfect by Ed Sheeran, up 9 spots. It's a good song. At number 17, we have a new song, Adelita's Way, Notorious. I love Adelita's Way. I saw them open up for Theory of a Dead Man once, and they were really good. Then actually I seen them twice open up for Theory of a Dead Man. Both times were amazing. Then at number 16, we have Reentry, New Rules by Dua Lipa. That's a number 1 song recently on the current. That was number 1 before. Then we have number 15 is Vance Joy with Lay It On Me. Then at number 14, another new song by Dua Lipa, IDGAF. 13 is a Reentry, Royal Blood, I Only Lie When I Love You. Great song. And number 12 is another Royal Blood song, a new song on the chart, Hook, Line, and Sinker. Then up 8 spots to number 11 is Havana by Camila Cabello and Young Thug. Then at number 10 is Bryce Vine with Drew Barrymore. Number 9, up 3 spots, is Believer from the Imagine Dragons. Holding steady at number 8 is Him and I by G-Eazy and Halsey. And you know my love of Halsey. She's awesome. Number 7 is Shape of You by Ed Sheeran. Great, great, great song. Number 6, down 1 spot, is Bad at Love by Halsey. That's currently my jam, so I listen to that quite a lot. Then we have at number 5, we have What Lovers Do by Maroon 5 and SZA. That's down 3 spots. Then at number 4, we have Too Good at Goodbyes by Sam Smith. That's a re-entry. Sometimes I just get in these moods where I have to listen to certain songs, and so they come in and out of the top 40. Then at number 3 is a new song by Meghan Trainor, No Excuses. That's an awesome song. Then up 1 spot to number 2 is One Foot by Walk the Moon. And holding at number 1 for a second week in a row is Feel It Still by Portugal the Man. So, there you go. That's a Measure Up Top 40. I really like the Measure Up Top 40. Okay, so this week I was told about this place by Tony, and so I went to just visit it because I was bored one day last Saturday or whatever. And so I went in this place. It's called Cadence Records and Coffee. It's on Payne Avenue in St. Paul, so if you ever get over, that's right by my house. So you can, if you go over there, just let me know, and I'll probably meet you there. Anyway, so they're open 7 to 7. That is Tuesday through Friday. They're closed on Mondays. Then on Saturday, 8 to 8, 8 to 6, and Sunday, 8 to 6. But anyway, so it's a really cool place. It's like a coffee shop, but inside they have records, like vinyl records. They have tapes and CDs, and they have them for sale. So, and they're like between $1 and $4. I don't know how much the records were. I don't have a record player, so I didn't really look. But they had record players for sale, so one was as cheap as $30, all the way up to like the top-notch new stuff. I didn't really look at that stuff because and it has all your needs for vinyl records. It had tons of vinyl record stuff. So if you have vinyl records, you can go over there and you can get some stuff for your records. It had like cleaning stuff and like stuff to help you fix your record. Your not records, but the holder of the records, the sleeve and all that in there. It was pretty cool. So you want to give them a call and find out where they are, or if you have any other questions, you can call them at 651-207-6856. Or you can email them. You can go to their website. It's Cadence, CAYDENCEMN.com. That's CAYDENCEMN.com. And this is not like with Level Up, I feel like it's awesome to like talk about them a lot because they're just so awesome. This place, they're not paying me to do anything, and I just went in there and Tony told me about it, and I thought it was cool to go in there, and I'm just giving them props on my podcast here because it's really cool. I really liked it. I had a hot chocolate and it was delicious, and I would totally go back there just to hang out. The just hanging out in there is pretty cool. The atmosphere is what I'm looking for. And then in the back they have a little concert area where they have concerts like almost every day of the week except for 3 days. And they just got over with their Cadence Fest for 2018. And it looked like they had a lot of fun. But there's a lot of local bands and stuff that play there. So if you call them up and stuff, they'll tell you if you're looking for a certain band or what time they're playing or whatever also. But if you go to their, sorry about that, just had a can of pop, which is dumb. But if you go to their website and then call them, you can look at who's playing there and see if you want to go. And the cover's not bad. I mean, usually it's about between $5 and $10 for a show. And at this time, to see a good show of 3 or 4 bands, and the show started at like 6 or 7, so it's not like you're going to be in there and it's going to be like midnight when it gets over. It's like 3 or 4 bands, so if you play an hour, that's 9 o'clock, you're getting home, or 10 o'clock on a weekend. So it's not too bad. So I definitely would check it out. It's a great new place, and it's not like the Target Center where you're going to see some like, meanwhile in the humongous Target Center. You know, it's not like that. It's more like, you know, a small setting where you can see some great bands play. All right. So right now, this is going to be the first album. I have tons of albums I love, but there's a very few albums that I can just put on from beginning to end, sing all the lyrics, and just absolutely love an album. And so I'm going to start a little bit about the band, and right before they did the album, and a little bit after they did the album. So. And then I'm going to get into the album and the singles, and I'm going to go through each song and tell you why I like it so much. But anyway, so today's band/album is going to be Everclear's Sparkle and Fade, which came out in 94, and pretty much, because 94 was all about Soundgarden for me. Their Super Unknown album came out in 94. Awesome. And that cumulated in September 4th, 1994. Seeing Soundgarden, which was Memorial Day, I believe, and it came with Hole. No, that was a different show. Soundgarden came with Tad. That's who they came with, and they were really good live. Little did I know that it was gonna be a long time before they came back, but and I never got to see them again, which is kind of sad because now that Chris Cornell's gone. But anyway, this is about Everclear. So 95 is all about Everclear. This album just rocked my world. I love this album a lot. And we're going to get more and more albums, because Super Unknown will be on here, because that is another album that I really love. But here we are right now, and let's talk about this. So, near the end of 1994, Everclear signed to Capitol Records by Gary Gersh, who is responsible for signing Nirvana, Sonic Youth, and the Counting Crows to DGC Records, which is David Geffen Communication. No, David Geffen. I don't know what the C stands for. David Geffen Company. I don't know, Records. And right before the album was to be, right before they signed, the drummer left, thinking they weren't going to get signed, so he took off. And so that was pretty awesome. And they did an extensive tour. A lot of people compared them to Nirvana, and I don't know why, because they don't sound anything like Nirvana. In fact, the last show for this thing, they opened up for the Foo Fighters at the end of 95. And there's the thing here, it says Dave Grohl said that he never thought Everclear sounded like Nirvana, but Bush was the closest thing to Nirvana. And that will be another album that we'll do. There's one Bush album that I worshipped. I didn't really worship the album. It was just, but anyway, to Sparkle and Fade. So Sparkle and Fade was the second album by Everclear. They had a first album, I believe, was called Everclear, but that was re-released on Capitol Records. I believe the first one was released by a small record label in Seattle or Portland, Seattle area. These guys were kind of like near the tail end of grunge, but they weren't grunge, so they got pulled in with those bands. So on May 23rd, 1995, Everclear came out with that album. And I remember specifically because I went to a show, and I can't remember the date, but it was in early 95, like May. It could have been right after that album came out. May, early June. And when they were on tour for this album. And they came with, which is pretty funny, they came with Ruth, which is another really awesome band. And they came with a band that I had never heard of. But soon, it's funny that they opened up for Everclear, and like a month and a half later, I saw them at the Target Center with Weezer opening up for them, and it was a sellout. It was No Doubt. So, and we had never heard of No Doubt. We didn't know who they were. So we were talking to the drummer of Ruth, who at the time was looking for an arcade. That's how old we are. Yes. 1994, I believe I was out of high school for 2 years. So, yep, you can believe it. Anyway, so we went to the show, and we were standing there talking, and apparently I was in the way of the band getting onto the stage, which I didn't know. Nobody said excuse me or anything, and somebody pushed me out of the way, and I went flying. And my buddy was like gonna start swinging, And we turned around and there was a gal in a big furry jacket. And I'm like, who's that? And the guy from Ruth is like, yeah, that's Gwen. She's from the opening band. And they weren't big or anything. They just got on the stage and just performed, and they were pretty good. They started out and everyone's like, who are these guys? And at the end, everyone's like, yeah. Like I said, a month and a half later, Tragic Kingdom was out, and they were playing at the Target Center, and they had Weezer opening up for them, and it was sold out. So that tells you how quick you can go in music. Music can be really quick. But anyway, so right about that time. Well, I was kind of surprised when I read this, that the album was recorded in Madison, Wisconsin, which is kind of cool because it's like kind of gives it a local kind of flavor because Wisconsin is close enough to Minnesota to make it local. But there were 4 singles that came off the album, and this is the kind of album to me that I like everything on the album. There's one song I'm not too happy about, but I still like it. It's just like some of the just what it's about is not something, but I really get into it, because it's the last song on the album. So it's kind of like, it feels like a throwaway add-in song because it's not really something I'm in, whatever. But anyway, so Art Alexis is the lead singer and guitarist, and he is pretty much Everclear because I think everybody in the band is left. And I think they came back once for a tour for like the 20th anniversary of Sparkle and Fade, and they did a tour, but they didn't come here, which is kind of a bummer. And I just found out that they do a thing called the Summerland Tour, which is off of a song on this album, and it's called the Summerland Tour because the lyrics in the song are like, let's go to Summerland, which is, I don't know what that's really referring to, but it sounds like heaven to me. Anyway, but so they do a tour, and so this year they're going to be going with Marcy Playground and Local H, which is going to be so cool. And the closest they're coming is like Des Moines, Iowa, or to a place in the middle of Wisconsin. So I got to pick and choose here because I really, really want to go see it. I really want to take my nephew because I think he would love Everclear. Everclear is awesome live, and I would really love it. And I want to see Local H live too because they put on a great show. And I've seen Local H like 3 times, I think, over the years. And they also have an album that I'll be putting out, and hopefully they'll be playing a lot of that when we go see them. But I'll tell you about that later. So basically, we're looking at this. And so then we have Greg Eklund in the drums. He's the new drummer. And so then we have Craig Montoya, and he's the bass guitarist, and he's the backup singer. So, they call him vocalist, but he's the backup vocalist. So that's the guy you're doing. So you get into, you pick up the CD, pull it up, you pull it out of the diamond sleeve, put it in there. The first song hits you in the face. Elektra Made Me Blind. And I don't know if that's referring to Elektra Records, because there's an Elektra Records, or if it's referring to a girl named Elektra. I'm not totally sure what that's referring to. I always seem to think it's Elektra Records because I think he's talking about like how poorly they were treated by the record companies. And so I guess I'm not 100% sure what it's about, but it just hits you. And then when it comes to a finish, then song 2 is Heroin Girl. It kind of brings it down, and then it performs it, and it talks about a girl that Art Alexis had a really bad life. He was a heroin addict, and his girlfriends were, they would, just bad news. And I think part of the thing is he dumped the heroin, and there's an opioid, I can say that real good, opioid problem now, but there was heroin was bad back in the early 90s. And in fact, we lost lots of great grunge / alternative people to heroin. And I think back in the Pacific Northwest, heroin was a big deal because a lot of those grunge bands from Seattle, those people were into it. And then they're from Portland, so they're kind of like the sister city, these guys. So he was big into heroin. I mean, it's throughout this album you can hear how he talks about how he was on heroin and how bad it was, and like he was happy he got off it and all this stuff. And Art Alexis pours his soul and heart out in this album. I think that's one of the reasons I like it. It's very, when you listen to it, you can kind of hear the things going on in his mind about how he's happy now that he's gone from that life and he has a better life now. But anyway, so Heroin Girl talks about a girl that would do anything. And so then in the end of the song, you find out she was found in a field, and the cops are just like, it's just another overdose. Which kind of cool is in the song he says, it's just another overdose, but live he goes, it's not just another overdose because you know that overdose is either somebody is in an extreme lot of pain and they can't get off the drug and there's just no way out for them, so they pass on an overdose, or them screaming out for help that they want help. And so I mean, back, you know, people can look at it any way they want, but drugs are really bad. And I mean, some people can like smoke weed or whatever and they go, oh, it's not a bad drug. But there are some people who get on that stuff and they cannot get off. Like heroin is just a horrible drug. I mean, it's taken like 4 or 5 like grunge people away from us, like just overdoses or just them being hooked on that drug and just not seeing any way out, so they kill themselves. And it's just so sad. And I look at it like you gotta be kidding me, you know, when I read that people committed suicide and then they, you know, talk about how, oh, they had a heroin problem and, you know, a drug problem, and it's just like it always seems to be the grunge people too, like Chris Cornell killed himself, you know, Lane Staley died of a drug overdose. You just hear all these guys, you know, Andrew Wood died of a heroin overdose, and you mean just all these guys that are just dying and stuff, and you're just like, this really sucks. And you know, Kurt Cobain was in pain because he had some kind of stomach problem and he was on heroin and it wasn't really doing anything. You know, it was just sad. But I mean, you know, like Alice in Chains, if you listen to their first album, they're talking about like cocaine and heroin and talking about all that. But in the second album, when they went through rehab, then you start hearing, you know, oh, we you know, there's still a little bit of that drug, you know, but then there's a couple songs where they're like, you know, we're getting clean and but then you get back to something else, and it's just back and forth. And I would seem to hope that the music you listen to now from Alice in Chains and Soundgarden's new stuff was very hopeful. It wasn't very down, you know. I don't know, when I was depressed, I just love listening to grunge music. It's the way I felt. It's just down, dark, and dirty. But, you know, now it's like, you have something to live for or whatever, you know, it's like you don't want to die, and it's, you know, you feel, but it was still like the grunge music to me just, it's still where my heart was. It's always been there. It's, you know, I just love grunge music. It's the sad thing about me is I really love them. I really love grunge music. But anyway, so Heroin Girl was a single off there. Santa Monica, which is the next song, and that is the one that was the big song off this album, Santa Monica. And it's a great song. You can tell it's super poppy. It's alternative poppy. It's not poppy as in, and you can kind of feel like they've come from punk roots. Maybe their brothers or their parents listened to like old school 70s punk, so you can kind of hear that flavor in there. And then maybe somewhere along the lines they listened, since they're in the Pacific Northwest, they had listened to like not Nirvana, what are they called? There's a couple bands that you can just hear in here that are coming out, and they're the early grunge bands from like 86, 87, 88, 89, like pre-Pearl Jam, those kind of bands, like Love Battery and Green River. You can kind of hear I can see why people would think these guys were a lot like Nirvana or grunge, but you could hear the punk. And I would be surprised if we talked to Art Alexis and he didn't say something about like him being into that early, like late 70s, early 80s punk. Not the Ramones kind of stuff, but the Clash. That I can hear an influence of the Clash in there. So Santa Monica is kind of more of a poppy song, and it's more along the lines of I would say a top 40 song. I mean, and I don't know if it just happened to be that way, but that song is really awesome. I really like it. It's just about how he just wants to get away from it all, and he doesn't want anything coming in on him. He just wants to be alone, and he's just tired of dealing with this lady. And so he wants to go out and into the ocean and just get away, and they'll leave you alone, and he's asking the girl to come with him. And the video's great because if you take Sponge, these guys in Sponge are two really good bands like that I really like, and their albums. If you take Sponge's Molly / 16 Candles, which I hate when they call it that. I just like it called Molly. The actress in Molly is the same actress that plays the girl that's against him in Santa Monica. So I always call that the second part of Molly. And so then I always play like Molly, and then I play Santa Monica, because it's kind of, to me, it's like the same story. It's not really, but it's just kind of cool to think that way because of the way the videos are. So if you watch the two videos back to back, it kind of makes kind of a cool... But anyway, I forgot one at number 3 was You Make Me Feel Like a Whore. And that song is about the radio business. You can totally tell. You know. But anyway, so then you get Santa Monica, and that's kind of a poppy stop, but it's still a good song. There's a video. The video's good. I gotta admit, Heroin Girl is a single, and I don't know if it had a video because I never saw the video, but I heard it on the radio, and I think that's what sold me on to getting the buying the album really quick. That was the first single. It was probably playing on the radio before the album came out. Then Heart Spark $, and You Make Me Feel Like a Whore was the final one, which is kind of funny because it's a single, and it was at the end, so it wasn't as popular as the first ones. But anyway, so after that, then there's Summerland, and that's kind of another song about how he's just tired of the world coming in on him, and Summerland sounds like heaven to me. And so he's just talking about like wanting to get out of where he is and go to Summerland, and Summerland just seems like a cool place in the song. Then after that, you have Strawberry, and that you kind of get them that he's starting to talk about like he has this girl that's a weight and she wants to do drugs, and he just doesn't want anything to do with her anymore. You know, he's just had enough, and he's ready to go to the next level, and he doesn't need her anymore. So Strawberry is kind of like him shedding the heroin off and trying to get rid of this girl who's trying to bring him down like a dead weight. Then Heart Spark $, which is a great song because this back in the 90s was something that wasn't as big as it is today, but he's singing about his black girlfriend and how his parents would hate him. And I don't know if this is like from his own life or if it's just like, you know, a song about like something going on, but he talks about how his family wouldn't like her because she's black and she's not like us and blah, blah, blah. Back then you didn't really sing about that, or you didn't see it a whole lot. You saw it somewhat, but you know, a lot of people still like frown on that. Like nowadays it's like nothing. You don't bat an eye, or at least I don't. But back then people would do a double take like, what? You know, I didn't care, but you know, some people did. But I mean, that song's about it, and I don't know if it's coming from the 60s or if it's coming from him growing up in the 80s in Portland, Oregon, or wherever he was from. Like I think he was from a small town, so I never quite know if he's talking from his point of view or not, because some of these songs sound autobiography kind of. So I don't. The next song on the album is The Twist Inside, which is a great song. It slows it down. It kind of talks about how you got to get ready for the real world, and you got to get become adults, and it's just kind of a slow moving song, and it's pretty awesome. I really, really like it. Next on the album is a song called Her Brand New Skin, and it kind of is about, what I take from it is it's about him seeing an old ex or his lace girlfriend, and he sees her and she's trying to get better, and one of the words in it is, I don't want to live in the shadow of a 12-step program. I think that kind of means that maybe she's turned over a new leaf from like drinking or taking drugs, and so, but she's really preachy, and he kind of doesn't want anything to do with her, which is kind of sad, I guess, in a way. But he kind of says, oh, I see her with her brand new boyfriend, and she's sitting there in their brand new skin. And so it's kind of like, you know, now I'm new, I'm special, I got a new boyfriend, and I'm not going to be pulled down by anybody. So he kind of just wants to stay away from her, and it's kind of got a good beat to it too. So it's a good song. The next song on the album is called Nihilum, and if any of the songs on this album you want to say sound like Nirvana, this kind of sounds like Nirvana. It's only 2 minutes long. It's a song that I had to look it up, but Nihilum is a city in Oregon, and I'm sure this is probably like the small town that he grew up in, and he's kind of singing about how this girl that he was going out with has a new boyfriend, and a lot of these songs have to be autobiographical from him, and they have to be about the small town living that he was used to from Oregon. And all these things that just happen in a small town. I mean, and a lot of this has to be from heartbreaking, because he's always talking about her new boyfriend and the battles that they've had, and some of these songs could have been stacked up from when he was a teenager and on and on and on. So that is track number 10 on the album. The next song kind of slows it down. It's called Queen of the Air, and it's about his Aunt Virginia, who he supposedly looked like, and he had dreams about her because he saw pictures of her, and he didn't know who she was. And she jumped off a bridge to kill herself, which is where Queen of the Air comes from. And it's just like a slow song, and he just kind of yells and screams about how he was kind of mad nobody told him about his Aunt Virginia, and how they were similar and looked alike, and it's pretty good. The next song is probably my favorite off the album. It's called Pale Green Stars. If you don't know what pale green stars are, back in the 90s and probably the late 80s, you could get these packages of the different stars of our solar system, or you could just get stars. I had these. These were great. They were glow in the dark, but they looked pale green. So you'd go to like the Science Museum or something like that, and you get these really cool. You'd put them under a lamp, and they would get like, or you'd have them and you'd put them on the room and with tape or whatever. Or I used to get that tacky stuff you'd put on the wall that wouldn't leave any residue, and I'd put them all around my room. So when you turn the light off, it looked like there was like a galaxy in your room, and that was just the closest thing I could get to actually going into space. And I've been a big space guy, so. But anyway, so this song is about his daughter, and how the only thing she has to do is she goes in her room, turns off the lights, and she sees the pale green stars. And the song just hits home. It's a great song, and it's a slower song, and it kind of gets rowdy at the end a little bit, but it's a slower song, and they do it acoustically live, so it's pretty cool. And it talks about how he doesn't want to fight with the mom of the kid, and please don't yell at me because, we don't want to scare her, and this and that. And it's a really touching song about this little girl. And I think it was never released as a single, but I think if it was, I think it really would have done very well on the singles charts. So then roars in track number 13, and this is another song that people would say it sounds like Nirvana. I never heard that until recently, and now that I kind of listen to it, I can hear the Northwest sound out of it. I guess I never really thought about it as that. I just really like this album. But the next song is called Chemical Smile, and it's about a girl he knew that just like stared at the sun, and then sometimes she would just put her headphones on and just like be zoned out, and she put on her Chemical Smile, which I'm assuming is referring to drugs and just kind of zoning out, which is what happens a lot when you zone out. Anyway, the last song, I'm not really favorable with this song, but it's part of the album, and it's really fast and it's pretty hard, and it's called My Sexual Life, and it just talks about living in a small town and how everybody knows everything about everybody. So like you can't even lie about like, oh, I'm a virgin, and like people would know that you're not really. So, and that is the end of the album right there. I'm glad you sat with me for the last 30 minutes and listened to my music ravings, and I hope you will join me next when I do the top 40 it's going to be let me get this. It's going to be the top 40 comic books coming out so this is March, April, in May. And I'm going to go through previews and find some comic books that I liked, that I'm excited to read. And I'm going to do the top 40 that I'm excited for. And hopefully you will join me for that, and we will have fun doing that. So please join me next time. This has been Andrew Voyer, and this is the Major Up Podcast. So please support local comic shops. Please support local record stores. If we don't, they'll go away. I'm only 3 days away from going to C2E2, which I still have to do a review of the people that I'm going to go see there, and I'll let you know all the cool people that I'll hopefully get to talk to about the podcast, and hopefully get it out there and let people hear it. All right, I'll talk to you later. Have a great night.